Welcome to the Art of Conversation. It's your girl Alicia C. And we out here recording live. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're feeling well this Wednesday. Yes, I hope you've been taking good care of yourselves. The title of today's episode is What Now? I think we really got to ask these questions. What now? What's next? What's this? What to do? What y'all really want? It just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? I mean, I'm being so sarcastic about that too. But one thing about life, it goes on. By now, we've all come to realize that life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Yes, the unveiling has been occurring for years, but it's also more blatant nowadays. You know, as the years continue to progress, some people saw the coronavirus, the pandemic, the economic meltdown as either a wake-up call or just a knowing of what's to come. The knowing of a new economic and social order. But whom benefits from this new order is what you're going to ask. And what do Americans need to do to ensure that they are safe, protected, and prepared? So, you know, for several decades, centuries, years, this has been going on. We've experienced crisis after crisis after crisis. And since the COVID pandemic, there has been a revealing of health inequalities, we got class divisions, and the fact that the most important workers in American society are among the least paid or valued. We've seen it, experienced it, or know those who have. And again, prior to COVID pandemic, but it seems as though it's a lot more in your face as of then. They've hit us with so much things, one after another, after another, after another. Sometimes you're in the same week. Something happens, then the next day something happens, then they give us 2 or 3 days, then another something happens, and then the next week, and then a couple months, and then it's just ongoing, and it's just like, well, damn. It's like, you know, we didn't even recover from the thing that happened yesterday, last week, last year, 10 years ago, and here you go with more. Juan Rodriguez from New York Times says that what is being revealed are the fault lines in the system that always existed. Of course. Been there, done that, we know this. They got to tell us and show us what it is that they're going to do. Foreshadow. They're going to put in the movies, the songs, cartoons, wherever. They'll say it to you directly and it'll go right over your head. What's the best place? Where and what is the best place to hide something? In plain sight. Plain sight. And we know that, all of us. How many times have we misplaced something? And we tear up the whole office, tear up the whole house, tear it up. And it's sitting right there in your face. So on the East Coast, we've experienced an extreme amount of smoke, fog, and poor air quality in some areas. The index reached ridiculous numbers. You know, in some states, high 200s, 300s, 350 to 430, which is considered the red areas, with the worst air quality, with the worst health impacts. Okay, so we keep that in mind. They tell us it was due to wildfires in Canada that were burning, quote unquote, since May, right? No alerts, no warnings. You know, we briefly touched on this in another episode. But it hit the Northeast and upper Midwest, yes. Not to mention that some residents of Canada itself expressed their indifference, right? So they're like, we didn't see or smell any smoke. So there's the big, what do you mean you didn't see smoke and you didn't smell it? It came from over there. What you mean you ain't? What are y'all talking about? The hell do you mean you didn't see it? or smell it. Well, okay, we don't have enough evidence right now. It's looking more and more like it was deliberately done, which I and many others figured out when it first occurred, because it's like, Canada? Like, okay, we know we're not as far away from these states and places as we think, but we're also not that extremely close. And for certain states to get hit so hard with such heavy smoke and others not, just how everything played out. Again, no alerts, no warnings, no nothing. We don't even hear anything about, okay, did the wildfire stop? No updates, nothing. The rain came, the smoke cleared, and then, the sun is shining again. Everybody's like, da 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 da. But we know that nothing is an accident. Absolutely nothing. And although, and thankfully, the smoke has cleared, the health threat still remains, because we don't know what's in the smoke, what's the effects. Because it cleared doesn't mean it cleared off. Sometimes things have time delays. Maybe the effects will take in another week, couple more days, next year. We don't know. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, we got the concerns about the animals and what the smoke, the chemicals have done to these animals. We hear about the thousands of dead fish that washed up on the Texas coast as a result of low dissolved oxygen levels in the water. Here we go again. Low oxygen levels are common in the summer. Okay, we get it. When the temperatures rise, right. Making it hard for the fish to breathe underwater. Okay. So we have to take into consideration that any acute changes to physical stream parameters can cause harm to water quality. Although minimal, it still has an effect. So in terms of wildfires, the effects of the smoke on physical stream parameters will more than likely impose larger immediate effects on, I guess, headwater streams than heating from the fire itself. So if that's something that happens, and wildfires and many other occurrences that has been happening for such a long time, periods of time, again, decades, centuries, years, they time it, they do this, it's about restoration for the forest, and many other things. Okay, so gradually, each time you do this, it's affecting the stream parameters. So if this is a gradual thing, don't you think eventually it's weakening? It's gonna cause some harm, obviously. Slowly weakening the system. Well, we'll put that there. Pollution control tells us that low dissolved oxygen primarily results from excessive algae growth caused by phosphorus. Nitrogen is another nutrient that can contribute to algae growth. As the algae die and decompose, the process consumes dissolved oxygen. And in addition, stream and air temperatures within these landscapes are influenced not only by direct heating during the fire, but by shading from heavy smoke. Dissolved oxygen can be affected by increased ash inputs from fire or reduced primary production under lower light conditions. Okay, so I throw that there because wildfires is common. And again, imagine how detrimental these occurrences has been on the ecosystem itself. All the chat about climate change, the fact that sharks, dead or alive, are washing up on beaches like Far Rockaway and even Long Island, are being spotted more frequently. We look at the food scarcity, animals are dying, fake food being sold and pushed in your face. What's in the fake food? The chemicals. What are the effects after a long period of ingestion? But then we got to take another step back and accept the fact that This is nothing new, and we've been probably eating and consuming this crap for how many decades and years. And then the people who have kids, and then they transfer that crap to the babies. And then just a clusterfuck of darts just thrown at us, against us, at all times. You shift your head that way, pow. Shift it the other way, pow. Up, pow. Down, ah, 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 ah. There's no escaping it, right? Just getting slapped up. Pop, 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 pop. Nothing new. I've always stated previously, and I'll continue to, depopulation is in the circle. And I always said that they're going to do so many different things to achieve that goal. And if they got to tell us what it is that they're trying to accomplish, okay, it's blatantness in your face. But then it's like, okay, once you start catching on, okay, we got to find another way to still accomplish what we're trying to do, but in a way that they won't realize it. Again, plain sight. We're going to take on different things, different forms to accomplish the same goal. So why just attack the food? Let's go ahead and attack the water and the animals and the air and this and that and that and that and that and that. You can run, but you can't hide. We've tarnished your water, your food, your air, your pockets, your mind. Well, some. Now, as of more recent, the unfortunate attack, and I call it an attack. I call all of these things happenings, occurrences. I call all of this attacks. The unfortunate attack on another infrastructure, the I-95. Now, I don't know how many of you have traveled the I-95 or how frequent you take that route. It collapsed in Philadelphia. On Sunday, the driver was pronounced dead as a result of a fiery crash involving a tanker loaded with gasoline. So they said the driver lost control of the tanker. Okay, so the crash on I-95, it runs the length of the East Coast from Maine to South Florida, left a section of the northbound side of the highway in a heap of ruins, right? And so the southbound section was so badly damaged that they're trying to figure out, okay, are we going to do a temporary fix, or we're just going to dedicate the long period of time or months it's going to take to just rebuild, right? So it's a question of, okay, are you preventing people from leaving the East Coast or certain states, making it harder to get out of this mess? Just a thought, just saying, you know. So, no, we just put it there. We'll leave that right there, because if we think about it, what if? What if? Seriously, what if? What if they don't want anyone to travel to Florida? They don't want anyone traveling to Florida, taking flights and all these things to Florida. What if? What if? Just 1,000 chances to 1. What if this is just a little a little playtime? Reroute people. We don't know what the end result of this is going to be, and if another highway is going to collapse or another happening or some more smoke. We don't know. They don't want this, they don't want that. Just things that make you go, They know a lot of people are trying to move, especially from the East Coast, especially from a lot of Democratic states. Things that's going on in states like New York and California, Texas. Some of these places, it's just like, even Florida, forget about it. Things that's happening. People moving around on the checkerboard, place to place. If it's not due to abortion laws, gender affirming care, then it's this, and then they're trying to pass these laws, and then we hear about the Jim Crow and this. What on earth is happening And it's 2023. We're back here again? This? But it just looks different. It's more modern now. Just a thought. But how convenient for this to happen on an important highway, which means delays, horrendous traffic, and issues with transport. Not to mention the amount of money it'll cost to repair and fix. Money they claim they don't have. You don't have no money to do this. You can't do this. It's not in the budget. You're bringing a plethora of migrants in certain states, and they are just sucking up all the resources. Not much left for the Americans themselves. Then you have this. Then you're trying to throw this idea, and you're doing this, and then this happens, and then that. It's hard to keep up. You don't even want to keep up, but you still want to be aware so that you can plan and prepare. We haven't forgotten about the 30 tons of ammonium nitrate fertilizer that is still quote unquote missing after disappearing during a rail trip to California. So, we heard about, back in April, the rail car carrying the chemical used both as a fertilizer and an explosive left on a 2-week trek to Saltdale, California. And once it arrived, the rail car was empty. What? Where'd it go? Some people question if those explosives were used to create the smoke on the East Coast. And maybe there were never any wildfires in Canada, no videos of it, no follow-ups. We don't even hear about the wildfires anymore. It's like once the smoke cleared last week, it's like, okay, now we hear about the collapse. So did they get that under control in Canada? Was that even started? Is that what really happened? Well, we don't know. Maybe, we don't know. Then these people, I think it was Las Vegas, but I probably have to double check where it was exactly, but I feel like it was Vegas. The family who said that there was creatures, so they're saying it was aliens. And again, how convenient you guys don't have pictures. The 2023, everyone records and takes pictures of everything. Everyone has, not everyone, but a lot of people have Ring doorbells. So much cameras are put up all over the place. And you mean to tell me not one piece of photo, video footage, nothing that shows these creatures in this person's backyard? Nothing? No, all right. So we're not going to spend too much time on that. But, where's the explosives? Who took them? Where are they? If these things are happening, I'd say you better find another way to transport these kind of chemicals. Where'd it go? What will it be used for since it is stolen? Who had them? Who was supposed to make sure that if a crash or anything happens, no one can steal them? Like, you guys have all this protection around Brinks when transferring money country to country, state to state, truck to banks, ATMs. You have all these people standing there armed when it comes to the money, but you don't have people armed. And where is these chemicals? Let's take a blast to the past, since we know that things like this have been happening. Back in 2017, massive fire collapsed an interstate in Atlanta, the Interstate 85, I-85, I believe, in Atlanta, Georgia. They claim it was maliciously set by a group of individuals. And of course, this led to transportation crisis. This was yet another major interstate highway. And we know about the debris and storm damage that caused homes and roads to collapse in California. I mean, we can sit here and run through the whole list of states. It's not a coincidence, and they are no longer hiding what they're doing here. It's for you to see and accept it for what it is and figure out what you are going to do differently And look, I get it. Some people will think, well, I can't do anything. They're in control. It's the government. Da, 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 da. It's like, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but that's the problem. This is why we are in the predicament we are in now. They don't have control. And really, they're supposed to be working for us. So how is it that these people feel so powerful and control to do this? Okay, you use fear tactics and this and that. Da, 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 da. Listen, it's a whole science to this whole breakdown. And we talk about cycles, there's cycles with the government, cycles. We see it in society. And then it breaks down into average Americans, cycles, and then this. And it just never stops. But at some point, it has to. What are you going to do differently from now and moving forward? Because the world we once knew but didn't really know is changing and has been and will continue to, and at a rapid rate. Transportation is an issue because states, places, people, businesses are not getting food, supplies. We already experienced a few of these things. Remember, they didn't have no formula for the babies. I mean, you got to really like see it for what it is and kind of laugh like, hold up. So we don't have no baby formula, but y'all went and decided to ban abortion. Then y'all talking about y'all cutting these resources, cutting this, doing that, da 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 da. Then the toilet tissue. Remember when COVID first started? The whole toilet tissue fiasco and sanitizer and bleach, ammonia, all these products sold out, couldn't find it. 2 packs of toilet tissue per person, all this nonsense. You can't, what? What? When y'all keep doing stuff like this, it's only going to get worse. And we've been having issues with trucking for quite some time too. Especially when the pandemic first hit. Trucks couldn't make it into certain states, and this was happening, that was happening, and then it got to a point that they wanted to protest, and then the whole thing with the vaccinations, and people were walking off of their jobs and leaving their jobs, getting let go because of this. And then it's like, well, if you don't have this, you can't do this. But then if it's not enough of you doing this, then we're not going to have enough people to drive these trucks to transport these materials, these supplies, the food. Hardly a coincidence. So again, what are you going to do differently from now and moving forward? Because the world we once knew is changing. They say it's the end times, and this is to be expected. So if that's the case, do you just sit back and watch it crumble? Do you figure out the how? And yes, we don't always know what will happen, and that's the thing about the future. You don't know. But you know what you want and don't want to experience. What could you do differently? What do you think you need to do? If X, Y, and Z hits the fan, are you stuck? Are you complying? Are you going to pivot? See, the pandemic caused many of us to pivot how we normally do things, right? So for quite some time, people were working from home. People had to start offering remote services, minimize and limit how many people are in a certain space, and this and that and that and this. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this was to happen, no, really think about it. What if it takes another year or two to fix the I-95? Okay, what's the next route? Okay, everybody's going to get rerouted, da 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 da. So what happens when, just hypothetically speaking, what happens if another bridge collapses? What happens if the smoke comes back? They say another pandemic is coming. Some people are like, well, COVID this. Who said it's going to be another wave of COVID? It might not even be COVID. and the food and the water and then this and then that and what if this and what if they shut this down and you don't have access to your money? What if you don't have internet or light for a couple days or a week? What if you can't use water, no running water? You don't want to speak these things into the universe because you don't want it to happen. You don't want it to manifest. But at the same time, you got to be logical. Look at all the things that's happening. It's not like it cannot happen. What are you going to do if it were to happen? You have to think like that because anything can happen at any given moment. Like I said, when the smoke hit the East Coast, people were home, people were at work, school, on lunch breaks, and then the sky was just like a whole thickness of smoke, and it turned yellow, orange. Like nobody knew what the hell was going on. Nobody knew. Nobody prepared. I'm sure if a lot of people knew the air quality was going to be poor, they'd stay home. If anything were to happen, X, Y, and Z, worst case scenario, what is it that you're going to do in that moment? Where are you going to move to? Can you move anywhere, or everywhere is basically the same? Are you out the US? Are you in another state? Your kids, look at the school systems. Are you going to keep them? Are you going to homeschool? It's so many things you got to ask yourself. Will it make it hard on you? Oh, most definitely. Isn't that what life is about? What's life without a little challenge? You sit and wait, or you think and be logical. If this were to happen, because it can, and we already seen previews, what's the next step? Are you stuck? Are you going to try? Are you going to just sit and take their word for it? Like I stated and will continue to say, COVID was not it. That was a test. That was a tester just to see how everyone will respond. So now that we know, fool them. Respond differently this time. Be safe, y'all. Stay prayed and peace out.